So let's get started. I'm thrilled to have this very interesting panel discussion how to improve CRM usage going forward in 2023. So we will be talking about in general about CRM, its usage and the challenges and the best practices that we can have to any organization or any leaders or even the end users of CRM can do to improve its usage and adoption. Yeah. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have amazing speakers like Sandeep and Anupam. So I will quickly introduce them. Sandeep is uh, Vice President L&D at IIFL Finance, very experienced leader in learning and development. So over to you, Sandeep. You can have your introduction and then we can go towards Anupam.
Sure. Thank you, Shubham. Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks to the guide team for hosting this panel discussion on CRM usage and the challenges that we see. I have been in the space of L&D for 18 years now and worked across sectors like petroleum retail, BFSI, and real estate property consulting. And I have been well versed with CRM across multiple industries and multiple organizations, and have throughout my career seen how the CRM has evolved, and pretty excited to talk about those experiences and also learn from a fellow panelist like Anupam. Thanks, Shubham, and over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sandeep. We welcome you all. And then Anupam actually comes from a different background of like working with startups and building the initial sales pipeline and very well versed with the CRM and leading the team using sales and operations. So over to you, Anupam. Would love to hear from you.
Thanks, Shubham. Great to be part of this webinar and to have a co-panelist like Sandeep. It's a pleasure. Welcome everyone to this session. I'll just give a brief about me without taking much time. So I've been in the industry for the last 15 years. Primarily, I'm a techie. Started off my career from technology, worked within the banking sector primarily, and then into insurance. I have had international exposure of more than 3 years. In terms of sales, I've had that transition and seen that transition from being a techie to a sales guy. And this topic is of great relevance even now when we talk about CRM adoption, and more than CRM adoption, the usage of CRM and the idea of inculcating it within organizations to have a direct impact or see a direct impact in terms of top line. So that's it mostly from my side. We'll be happy to take in questions, and I'm sure this will be an exciting session overall. So feel free to ask questions also at the end, and then we'll look forward to comments also from the audience.
Yeah, great. So I will be going through the quick agenda. So we will start with some general information and the impact of CRM on sales team or on any organization. Then we will go to the challenges of adopting CRM, like what are the challenges faced by leaders, by employees, by organization, and we will discuss about more case studies around it. And then we will go towards the solutioning part where we will try to get best practices from Sandeep and Anupam, like how exactly we can tackle those challenges and actually improve the usage of CRM and make salesperson more proactive. And then they will be sharing their experiences about how they have like tackled this problem in their previous organization or current organization, and how actually interesting story about their journey with this particular topic. And then it will be open for Q&A. So to start with the let's get straight into the topic. Like, first thing I want to uh, go towards Anupam, and I want to ask him, like, when we were discussing, you talk about this is the like single truth of data, and this is actually the single source of salesperson performance as well. So can you like elaborate more on that? What is the significance of CRM and how this could be a single source of data for any organization?
So, that's a very interesting question. In fact, before going into the topic itself, one thing has to be understood that the cost of acquisition of customers has gone was significantly high. But with the introduction of SaaS-based platforms and digital adoption, we are seeing that there is a gradual transition, and companies are, cutting down on their CAC, which is cost of
Right.
acquisition.
Right.
Now, the real impact which CRM adoption brings in, we have to understand it as a system. Now, what I have seen during my career is most of the CRM data would be, either garbage data, okay, or there would be lack of discipline in terms of data entry. Now, if you are putting in garbage data within a system, what comes in is what goes out as well within your
Yeah.
business, right? So more than just the adoption, it has to be understood that usage of CRM is more of a habit. It has to be inculcated within the company. Now, there are two direct lines of impact of using a CRM. One is it has a learning curve, definitely, because any system has a learning curve. And when we talk about a single truth, right? So let's say consider a project management tool being a single truth for delivery, right? So similar aspect, you can consider that mostly we have seen, and this is a point of contention, marketing people don't take up target for themselves, right? The target always remains with sales, right? So when you talk about target driven organization or organizations which are based on value, right? Now, there are a lot of frameworks. One of the framework is also value framework. So what happens is the whole idea of using a CRM is to look at a single dashboard, and let's say any CXO can understand, or any person within the company can understand, okay, what stage are my deals at, right? And then what would be my net realization in a quarter, and subsequently what will be the impact in a given year. So this is the real truth in that sense, and it gives you a real picture of any organization at any stage of at any point of time. Because if you compare this with a balance sheet are on actuals, right? While CRM is a predictive analytics of your net PNL. So
Right.
I hope I answered your question, Shubham.
Yeah. But when Sandeep, you are training people on CRM, so most of the sales people like treat it as a tracking. They see this as a tracking mechanism, but it is not tracking, but it's kind of an enablement. That's what you said. So can you elaborate more on that? How CRM is the element enablement platform for any sales activities within organization?
Sure. So while data is something which is at the back end of it, but if you look at the front end, what exactly a CRM does, or maybe if you compare it to any accounting software that is now predominantly so popular. Uh, Earlier days, record keeping happened through books. There were
Right.
manuals, or there were sales management trackers which were being managed by people, and they used to physically fill up the number of leads, number of customers met, and the data at the end of the month used to be fed into an Excel sheet, and there were tons and tons of people who used to collate those data, and that used to move up. Now,
Right.
if in the current date, if you look at a CRM data, if it is garbage in, garbage out, in the earlier days, the garbage was refined to uh, some more amount of garbage, because when the data is handled by multiple people, the meaning of the data completely gets lost in translation.
Right.
Now, in the earlier days, data was not the primary objective. Tracking people or the lead indicators from a Salesforce performance, there are two ways where people get tracked. One is a lag indicator, which is typical the sales style. How much will you do today and how much you have done today? And
Yeah.
then the lead indicators like how many new leads you have generated, how many customers you have called. So that's the origin of CRM. And while technology kind of took over, so the first version of CRM, we saw digitization of Salesforce, the salesperson, which of course is the first block of your slide, right? So
Right. Yeah.
typically, and that's where the uh, genesis of the problem. When uh, digitization happened, now what really happened is people at the bottom of the pyramid started using a system, and for them it was more of a tracking, because the CRMs gradually, from a record keeping, it added services like geofence tagging, which typically tells you whether actually you went to a customer's place or not.
Yeah.
Then came selfie. You go to a customer's place, log in your geofence, altitude, latitude, longitude, exact space, and then you click a picture. So,
Yeah.
in the mind of the salespeople at the bottom of the pyramid, the paranoia or the fear that exists is that this is kind of intruding into my privacy, my personal space.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the problem lies. So if you talk about from a training point of view, what exactly we have been doing since we got introduced to CRM. I think my first experience of a CRM platform goes back to 2012, and
Okay.
we had to coach, coax, force, convince people to start using the CRM. The
Right.
adoption was very abysmally low, and we had to kind of use the sales hierarchy, train the sales hierarchy to show the benefit to the leaders at the top. So for the leaders at the top, it was data, how
Right.
seamlessly your data flows in right in the moment. So you don't have to wait for a week time to know what are the sales numbers or what are the customer numbers. So that was the first selling point. Next came in when we had the data available, then lot the possibilities really opened up. Then here comes the customer life cycle.
Right.
A lot of analysis happened with the data, and then customer propensity models were created. Share of wallet became a buzzword, that if I have a customer and I know the demographics of the customer and the past purchase behavior, can I use some analytics to find out what might a customer intend to buy.
Right.
So that led to better revenue. And of course, once you start doing that on a iterative basis, on a repetitive basis, you
Yep.
gather so much of intelligence about the customer, and then you start a lot of other analytics. For example, demographic based analytics,
Right.
right? A
Right.
customer in so and so age group in so and so location is most likely to buy this, that. So uh, uh, today what we see as CRM, it has become a business enabler,
Right.
and there is a value across the chain. Okay,
Yeah.
some of the better things which have come right now for the bottom of the pyramid is that, okay, your travel claims have become seamless. You don't have to actually collect bills and enter in the CRM itself.
Right.
Your geofencing tagging has happened, and that data flows in, and your claim money comes in for the kilometers
Right.
travel. And there are multiple iterations of the CRM. And there are of course a lot of other enablers which make, in fact, Guide also has a beautiful tool which makes the CRM usage very seamless for people, right? So
Yeah,
You don't have to spend hours training people on how to use the CRM, and kind of integrates well with any CRM to create a experience that makes people adopt the platform in a much seamless and easier manner.
right. Thanks, Sandeep, for showing the other side of CRM, that is like how it could be an enabler. So, Anupam, a quick thought on the revenue and intelligence part that Sandeep mentioned, specifically in terms of smaller teams, like how this could be a revenue growth for them and how this could be a market intelligence in same time for some smaller teams who like they're using their first CRM, maybe just having 10-15 people of team. Like how do you uh, see that?
Uh, for smaller teams or company which are early stage startups,
Yeah,
primarily, I think a lot of sales folks in this current webinar in the audience would be facing a problem in their current organization if they are early stage startups
yeah,
in setting up a pipeline. Now, the real challenge there, as Sandeep rightly mentioned, uh, while for the management it is all about data, right? The way you enter the data, right? So determines the whole game around CRM. Now there are two key players in this. So one is CRM champion. Somebody has to champion the cause of CRM.
mm,
The second person is, or could be the same person, or but the role is a bit different. That person has to ensure that the data is entered in the right, so the sanity of
right.
the data, right? So consider a typical example. I'll take a step back. Consider a typical example of, let's say, uh, uh, telecom operator, right? So they have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of field sales guy who go around different homes, offices, right? For them, the real CRM data has to be entered on the field while they're working, right? Now, a lot of
Mm,
companies have come up with different solutions which are hosted on mobile, and they can do their CRM entries through that. The data flows from the mobile to their CRM system at the back end.
mm-hmm.
Now, the challenge there for a small startup, now I'm coming back, I'm taking a step forward. Now, consider this, that data has flown to the CRM, right? Now, what we see is the initial lead that these people would have got, right? The chances or the conversion rate of a particular lead to an actual opportunity and then finally to a paid customer generally is very bleak. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to a startup model, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to a network business or a field sales, that
Mm-hmm.
conversion is well established, right?
Right,
Until the customer is not satisfied post sales, he may drop off, right?
right,
Now,
right.
now this is one side of the story. The other side is, let me come to the startup. In startup, there is a model of a vertical startup without taking funding from any VC. Now, a lot of VC is a big fad. A lot of people are reaching out to VCs, but the real
Mm,
story is how you can self-sustain for the initial 1 to 2 years. Because if you can
right,
do that, you get an automatic qualification in terms of PMF, product market fit, right?
right, right.
Your product
Yeah.
market fit, essentially, I define it as, getting 1 or 2 customers who have gone through at least 2 cycles of billing, which is of 2 quarters.
Right,
So one
right.
billing cycle is of 1 quarter. So, the model is called as GPDS. I have abbreviated it, and a lot of people use it in similar fashion. G stands for grow your list. As a
Okay.
company, before taking your product, you have to first grow your list. Now, where do you do that? Natural thing is you have to keep your list in a digital format somewhere, right?
Right,
So
right,
CRM is
right,
your place. So even for a
right.
vertical startup or a startup looking to be bootstrapped and self-sustained, you need to grow your list. Let's say I have a product. I'll take the example of a CRM product, okay, X, looking
Right.
to reach out to the right sort of SaaS companies who would like to adopt this CRM platform. Now, the
Right,
first thing is you grow your list. So you identify your customer persona. Basis that,
right.
you grow your list. Now, there could be various data mining methods or through LinkedIn or through your network, and then you grow your list. P stands for pre-sell. How do you pre-sell? You pre-sell with an incentive, giving out the USP or the compelling USP. Now, this is a buzzword again. Compelling means without that, the customer cannot live. You have to create some fear, within the customer that at this stage you need it. So then D stands for develop. Now, when you pre-sell, I'll take a step back. When you pre-sell, you have to mention to the customer that the importance and that, the customer could be at a very initial stage also, right? So you have to incentivize him adopting this CRM, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then D stands for develop. Then what you do is maybe the customer would have given certain feedback, right? In terms of your pre-sold idea. You develop as per the need of the customer. You don't have to do a full-blown customization. On your vanilla platform, you bring in certain changes, maybe add the logo of the company, make the URL as per their internal needs, right? And then S stands for sell. Then what you have to do is once you have sold, you have to then come back to the first step. You again grow your list once you have exhausted that list. So this model actually helps you to reach out to the right sort of customer, and CRM is a natural step in this.
Right. Yeah. The crux of it.
Out of this. This is what I had done in my previous organization. Very small. We had a small size in terms of average customer volume, but eventually, in India is a really great place to make your team and processes and to set up. And at a certain stage, you scale up also by growing that list. So, yeah.
Sure. It's absolutely like amazing that you elaborated more on this model.
So Shubham, there is a book on this. I'll just like to throw some light on this. It's called as The Vertical Startup. It's written by a person called as Andreas Aravis. I would recommend this. It can be bought on Amazon. Yeah, but a great book.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah. So, like digging more into the challenges that we face with the CRM adoption or CRM usage, I want to go to Sandeep and understand more on how like lack of feature understanding or lack of enough training can impact the CRM usage and how that could be a challenge for end users and the overall organization. Like softwares are also changing day by day, and there are like lot of features. It's getting more and more vast. So how this could be a big challenge of training and understanding at very minute level of that.
Thank you, Shubham and Anupam. Pretty great insights from the tech point of view. Shubham, you are not audible. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, if you look at the changing speed of technology, I've already spoken about how CRM evolved more from a record keeping to include geofencing, the travel module, and now there are a host of other API integrations which are now being demanded, that it should talk to my PMS system, it should talk to my learning management system, and it should get connected to my HRMS. It should also get connected to so that data flows seamlessly between multiple systems, and what we get is an accurate picture of the sales team behavior, the sales propensity model. It gets tagged to the performance module where you get IDPs, MDPs. So it's an ecosystem that's getting created. Now, the point is this evolution will keep on happening. There is no way that we will see that, okay, this is where we have arrived at a final product. So the evolution will continue. What really looks to me as a gap is how are we talking about the changes in evolution to the supply chain. Okay, because as a leader or as a founder, if you're talking about startups, I have certain vision. I have certain ideas which I'm trying to implement. But does the last person in the bottom of the pyramid or last person at the border really knows why exactly this is being done?
Right.
So we need to ensure that training happens, and it's a typical challenge that I see in multiple organizations. The CRM training is not taken up very seriously, and it is left to the managers to kind of explain them. Uh, we need to create a system where CRM becomes an integral part of all training programs, and the end use of CRM, how data flows in it, how is it going to benefit the organization, what happens when they enter the data. It is not about tracking anymore. It
Right.
is about enabling it now. Okay,
Yeah.
it's them only, the sales person at the bottom of the pyramid who kind of gets benefit out of it. Second, uh, what really happens now is that customers have become very precious resources, right? With so many companies vying for the attention of the customer, the company which is able to catch hold of the customer's imagination by predicting the propensity model, they will win the customer. And CRM is the way where you will be able to do so. If you are able to ensure that the quality of training that happens at the bottom of the pyramid or at the front line, so that the data, quality data comes in, then there are lots and host of possibilities. So we should reinforce the proper CRM behavior with some kind of reward. It should be part of their goal sheets,
Right.
and it has to kind of come into the mainstream.
Exactly.
uh, so yeah, so the management has to talk more about it, talk be vocal about how they are benefiting out of it, right?
Yeah.
And that creates a sense of purpose, and then you train people around how to seamlessly use that, and probably what I liked about some software that kind of guides you through the entire process, because you need daily reinforcement. So when you
Right.
come in to fill a data, and you do not figure out what needs to be filled and how it is to be filled, and something pops up and says, okay, this is what you need to fill here, that makes it much more uh, uh, from an UX point of view, it accentuates the experience.
Right.
And the last point that you have mentioned is about lack of support from vendors. I think vendors uh, uh, depend a lot on what organizations visualize, because any CRM software or any platform that you see today comes from the visualization that leaders or people look at. And some vendors are able to cope up with it, and some vendors are not able to. So the agility and the ability of people to uh, kind of cope up with the vision that organization and leaders have, and their ability to implement makes the entire experience much more seamless. But yeah, of course, there are vendors in the market who are agile and willing to go the extra mile for companies.
Right. So, Anupam, you comes from the technology background as well. So, what do you think as a choosing the right CRM could be a problem? Also, sort of lack of documentation or the lack of technology integration, technology understanding, how that could create a problem around CRM understanding. But finally, it's a software product, right? You should understand something about how software is being used. So, how do you think that as a challenge within organizations?
There are again two sides of this coin. One is to have a sales champion, right? By sales champion, I don't mean somebody who is helping you win a multi-million-dollar contract. That for me is one part of the story. The important thing is how that person achieves it, right?
Right.
And in that comes in the role of a CRM and how he understands that CRM. And as Sandeep rightly mentioned, customer journey is a really important aspect when it comes to any product, right?
Right.
So how you closely integrate it with your team, what how the data is being entered, how the data feeds in, right? Whether the sanity of the data, who is checking on the sanity of the data, how do you ensure data sanity, right? So let's say being in a customer place, doing a KYC for a network service provider, or I would say for a mobile network operator, being in a particular GPS location, doing the KYC, you get a single source of truth, right? Whether the person would have visited, right? Now, the important aspect here is if you don't have that sales champion, what next? How to go about it, right? So therein comes the role of a consultant or a company like maybe Guide, which will take us through in terms of helping the adoption of and being able to understand such sort of a system, right? Because see, the ideal scenario is where you already have the various softwares in place. But many a times I have seen, especially because I've spent my last 2 years into automation, people adopt softwares, but they don't know the usage of it. I know companies who have paid millions of dollars, but that they have never used that software in RPM, right? Now, the thing is, therein comes the role of value frame. What is the value that I have to, so as you know, I'll take again a step back and go to Sandeep's word where he told that, from awareness, there has to be a movement to a buying behavior, right? Now, when do you go and buy, right? That decision point should be based on what value you get out of a software. Now, that value could be in terms of economic value, that value could be in terms of reduction of your curve in terms of learning, right, within an organization. How much does your field force or field sales force understand really the sales process, right? Many people, consider the connotation of a sales rep as, a person who understands just sales operations, right? But there is a different angle to it. It's a three-dimensional thing where, at one point of time you are just doing a data entry. The other thing is you need to know what is the impact of that entry to a real deal being closed and then to the P&L of the company, right? So there comes the role of this company, somebody like Guide, who can actually provide this value add over, let's say, it could be Salesforce, right? So how do I go about making an entry into Salesforce? Because see, we have moved, companies like Salesforce, they have moved to more of a licensing model, right? Where they just sell the license to you and you are dependent on a third party to customize. Now that comes at a cost, right? So in my previous organization, very small organization, I have set up the whole team there. Since I knew Salesforce, I could do it. But had there been somebody else, or I would have not known Salesforce, and I was supposed to adopt it, or maybe some other CRM like Sugar CRM or Engage Bay or Pipedrive, there is a very steep learning curve. So what entry to put, and those are not like self-serviced modules, Salesforce, where if you hover around on one place, you get to know that what entry has to be done, and whether it has to be an alphabetic or numeral based entry or a alphanumeric entry, right? So those things are very important. I think the infrastructure is rightly set up. There are a lot of tools, but we need simplification of that. And that is the real need of the hour. And these two things are important. Sales champion, definitely somebody who can own the process. The other thing is, that stage you are dependent on a external consultant or a company to actually provide you the right sort of inputs to adopt that.
And when we were working with companies, especially in BFSI segment, we see that if data is not correct, then your applications are going to reject in next. So there are like a lot of applications being filled for new customers, and then at later point, the application failure is there or the data is not correct. That is creating a lot of problem. So when we are discussing best practices, we will talk about it. So I will go to Sandeep, and let's like move towards the solutioning part now, understand the best practices. So what do you think, like how it is crucial to create a proper sort of onboarding and training plan for CRM? Like, what are the best practices for that, and how this can be simplified and personalized for like different roles within the organization?
Thank you, Anupam. Thank you, Shubham. So I remember way back in 2013, people were given a tab in which there was a inbuilt CRM, and the entire customer journey was supposed to flow in through the CRM. And I realized people were finding it very difficult to enter the various stages that the customer goes through while interacting with the company. Intuitively, I was in a training room, and I asked one of my team members to capture a video of me doing a quick demo of actually using the CRM and with my voice and pointing fingers. Okay, this is you click here. This is the data that you need to feed, and then I floated it in the WhatsApp group. So it was a very, I would say, a spur of the moment when I heard somebody finding it difficult, and my ability to go and uh, me or my team's ability to go and meet thousands of people to talk to them about. So I found the video to be a better mechanism, right? So that video became very popular, and people from different parts of the country started saying, "Can you send this video to us, because we find it very interesting." Now what I feel, the technology has further evolved.
Right.
You can have a personal coach, and you don't need to go to a video then come back to the platform. Can we do something that integrates training within the platform itself? So every time I come in, there is somebody who helps me fill the details, right? A guide, a coach who pops up. There is a voice, there is a text which comes in. Okay, this is what you need to fill. So it becomes very easy for me as a user to get trained on a repetitive basis. And what we know is that if you go by the forgetting curve, it says that any training that you attend, within couple of hours you forget 70% of it.
Yeah.
And right, so which means that if you train people once, there is a high likelihood of them not remembering anything beyond a period of 6-7 hours. Now the best way is to make training and onboarding a continuous process. Each
Right.
time I come, something pops up. The way your seatbelt reminder keeps coming to you the moment you step into your new age vehicle.
Right.
Please
Right.
wear your seatbelt. Please stop, go down below 80. And there are so many voice reminders that talks to you about good driving behavior.
Right.
Similarly, a good CRM behavior can be enabled through technology. And I think while the human touch, of course, should be there, but if we can add a layer of technology to the training, I think there is no way we can beat it.
Right. Right. And taking this point ahead, Anupam, I wanted to ask you, like, there should be a continuous process of training, but how to make it more interesting, more reward should be given to CRM users. So how do you think that we can make it more reward driven or more interesting, more interactive, and also so this will help involve employees or salesperson in this change management process completely. So how do you think this could add up?
Yes, see, Shubham, there are two sides to this. Now, mostly what I have seen is, as and Sandeep will agree with me on this, that most of the companies, they think that stand up, okay, first thing in the morning, a stand up within a sales team brings in, the right sort of involvement. I have a different opinion. What happens is, it brings in discipline. It looks like that, but eventually, what happens is there is a lot of finger pointing. Okay, and then that there is a bit of friction also, which comes along in that. So, now the real question there is, how do you manage such situations and still maintain a good environment where, people see the usage of CRM as, something which is a must have rather than good to have, just good to have, right? So, and how do you incentivize this? Now, the real thing there is, if you incentivize, if you create a step-by-step sales process within your CRM, right? So right from, let's say, what we call as lead generation. Now, a particular lead for me, now let me define lead, because a lot of people think a lead means, okay, customer aa gaya, right? That is not the case. So a lead typically is nothing but an account name, okay, where you have the contact, primarily a mobile number. I'll say a mobile number and an email ID of the person, and it fits into your customer person.
Right.
That is a lead. Now, once you have a lead has 3 qualifications. It is a cold lead, a warm lead, and then third is hot lead. Now, what determines this qualification? How much you have engaged.
Right.
So let's say if you outsource this lead generation process to a third party, right? You have to incentivize them. If you don't do that and keep it within your team, still you have to incentivize them. Now, I have seen a lot of companies when they're outsourcing, the incentivization is more. While when you are keeping it within the company, the incentivization is less. I think there should be parity in that. That is one. The second thing is, post lead generation, you have to break your sales process. Okay. The first process could be, let's say, a call or introductory call and sharing your presentation over email.
Right.
That I call as a discovery call. Second could be, scheduling for a customer or a client demo. Right. Third could be, really deep diving session where the client also brings in certain stakeholders from their end. And as a sales guy, I'll also bring in, my tech team or, however I am placed within the organization, I'll bring in the right sort of parties. The fourth step could be, now this could be a 4 or a 7-step process, depending on, how do you want to incentivize and how simple you would like to have a sales process. Right. And then at the same time, have that interaction, because the whole idea is to engage with the customer at each stage. Right. None of these stages are without the customer. Right. Okay. So the 4th stage could be that post the call, there has to be a talk with the influencer or the decision maker. Right. Once you do that, the call has to come from the customer. I mean, it should not be on us to submit a proposal. We have to get a ratification of the customer stating, do you need a proposal around this, or would you like to see a proposal around this? Because they would be doing it with, nobody is born with a silver spoon in business, right? People bank with 4 different banks, right? Companies. So 4 is a good number, and that is how companies go with any product. They look for at least 4 vendors, then they decide, right? So, and everybody wants to share their pie so as to keep down the risk. Now, once you have done that, then you submit the proposal, 5th step. 6th is negotiation, and 7th is closed or lost. Right? Let us be practical. So now at all these stages, let's say if I have an SDR or an account executive who has taken me through all these stages and has been able to close, then only we talk about an incentivization. So it is all performance based. And at each stage, let's say if this thing has been taken up by my channel partner or my sales partner, whatever is their commission, maybe I'll incentivize the same to my employees if I am an early stage startup. Right. By early stage, I mean at least, I would say sub 5 million or maybe sub 2 million in terms of ARR, annual recurring revenue. So that for me will be early stage. So, I hope I answered your query in terms of incentivization. Percentage again depends, but generally, the standard is you have to put it in terms of steps. Yeah.
And to show this progress and show this step, CRM is the actual, again, the single truth of data.
Because your deals or your opportunities. Sorry, Subham, you actually get to know at each stage your opportunity, your deals are at what level in terms of these steps, right? and then you can assign a probability to these particular steps, and the net deal value. At some stage you would have understood, whether you would be able to submit a proposal. Once you're submitting a proposal, you get a sales intelligence already in place. How much is the budget, right? Multiply that budget with the probability, you get the number.
Right, right. Yeah. So Sandeep, can you add a quick point on how like tools like LMS or digital adoption platform or right sort of documentation can help with the continuous training and for new employees as well? Let's say you train initial 500 team member, but like every week someone new is joining, then how your knowledge base actually can help your new users, and how that could be a best practice of maintaining the good knowledge base for your CRM knowledge.
Absolutely. So one thing that I can talk about is uh, having reinforcement training through video, interactive video and guided video based modules, which can be part of LMS. There is an element of social learning that can also happen. For example, lot of organizational knowledge actually rests within the organization. The point is we don't have enough data about where those knowledge lies. So for example, there is some problem with a CRM. The troubleshooting would have been done by somebody in some part of the country or the world already. But then you keep on finding out where do we find a solution for. Now, the best way is that all LMSs nowadays have an element of social learning where you can create discussion channels. Right? For example, if you are a software coder or a developer, or in fact, if you go to Microsoft or Google or any tech giant, they have their discussion channels where people come and discuss their problem, and somebody anonymously comes and answers those.
Right.
And people who join new in the system can also go and read the problem and the solution, and you type somewhere this is a problem and it shows up the discussion threads. Learning, if we create a behavior where discussion channels get created within the LMS, where people can share their knowledge about how they particularly manage the situation, troubleshoot, and any new users can actually come and start looking at those historical solution, so that they don't face the challenge that someone would have faced earlier. So social learning discussion channels within the learning management platform can be a great way of creating an FAQ. Also, a lot of companies today have chatbots within their HRMSs.
Right.
I have been very vocal about usage of chatbots for learning experience.
Right.
While there has been a lot of demand from the market, and also a lot of suppliers who talk about learning experience platforms, I have been talking about learning experience bot. Why do I need to go and search? I can use a voice command to go to my existing HRMS bot or business bot whatsoever, and it leads me to the specific place, specific point where I can learn. That is more contextual in real time.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so we should be looking at multiple use cases of technology and the various options available, and how do we create a build an ecosystem that drives the usage of CRM. And today I think people are more purpose driven, and a lot of sustainability efforts are also being used. So we must highlight how important how sustainable is a CRM. In the absence of a CRM, lots of tons and tons of papers would have been used. Right? Today we don't use any paper, and a lot of these processes have become very seamless. With the geofencing, you don't end up traveling miles and miles aimlessly finding for a customer, because now your CRM gives you exact geolocation of your customer where you can travel to. So you end up spending very less amount of fuel.
Right, right.
And there are multiple benefits out of it. So how do we, to the new generation, how do we link the things that excite them and create a purpose within them?
Right, right. So yeah, it great points by Sandeep. So looking at the time, I think we should open for Q&A for the audience. So we just have like 5-10 minutes left. So I request all our attendees to add your questions, and then I will pass on this to Sandeep and Anupam, and would love to answer as much as possible. Uh, we can. So I'm just opening the Q&A section now. But great to hear from you, Sandeep and Anupam. Like lot of new insights for personally me as well. So how to like, especially the GPDS model you have suggested, Anupam, that was really nice, and the 7 stages and the overall understanding about the training and handling the overall um, the the training and adoption part by Sandeep was really nice. So we got one question, like what is the best way of keeping knowledge base about CRM of for new employees? That already answered by Sandeep. We discuss about the knowledge base, and so one is from Ankita, that how can CRM integration increase employee productivity, and what are the technical integrations we must go ahead in terms of automation and everything. So I will uh, ask Anupam about this, like how CRM can impact employee productivity, and what sort of automation we should add. So can you quickly answer this?
So primarily, integrations are all about touch points, right? So
Yeah.
consider that if CRM is single source of truth for sales, there are other boundaries or other divisions within a company which also have an impact on CRM. So one of them is marketing, for sure,
Right.
marketing, and then business development.
Right.
So those integrations will definitely bring in and increase employee productivity, because as I had told that, the real goal or target in terms of numbers is always with sales.
Right.
But so I would say I am of the opinion that even marketing should take say a target per
Right.
se, because we talk about inbound, which is primarily driven by marketing, right?
Right. Right.
Inbound is all about, let's say, people visiting your website, putting in a query that, can I can I get a demo from your team? So
Right.
those are inbound, right? So once you have those marketing integrations in place within a CRM, it definitely increases your number of leads, which has a direct line of impact in terms of employee productivity, provided it is made in the right manner. The integrations are in the right manner, and you don't have to replicate the work. I mean, things coming to your website and then you having to do that entry on your CRM, or maybe massage that entry which has come to your CRM. That is not the kind of integrations that we are looking at. Now, what integrations are must? I would say depends on the on your strategy as a company. What
Right.
integrations are must? Because for an early stage startup, I would say inbound is something which takes at least 6 to 9 months to realize.
Right.
So initially, if you want to, even an SDR, account executive model, takes time. So
Right.
initial sales I have seen for an early stage startup actually comes through your network.
Right. Yeah. So one more question is there. I will take this question to Sandeep. Like, what are the milestones or points to be taken care while migrating from one CRM to another in the middle of year? So you work within the like bigger organization. You have like you must have seen the migration of one tool to another tool. Like, what are the best practices for this, and what are the points to be taken care?
See, we should not lose sight of the overall purpose of having a CRM. Many a
Okay.
times what happens, the decision to move into a new CRM is made on the UI and the UX, but people
Yeah.
forget that the underlying purpose of having a CRM was to have the data in place. And involving the technology team early on helps, and we should highlight how the data gets transferred from one system to other, because the compatibility often comes from the data, and not just about CRM, but HR professionals. It is about the HRMS platform, and I see companies struggling a lot with the broken tech, which I call multiple systems, and nobody talks to each other.
Right.
So while migrating from one CRM to other CRM, look at the data aspect. Is the entire flow of data going to sit on your new CRM? Because you can't lose the amount of intelligence you have generated through your previous CRM.
Right.
Second is uh, reimagine the ecosystem. Why are you changing the CRM, and how would you want it to talk with other parts of your organization? See,
Right.
today organization is no longer being viewed as parts. It is a whole system. So you
Right.
have to use a system thinking in place, that how will this information going to impact other part of the organization? How can we integrate? So I think a lot of thinking has to go. uh, Ideally, you should not change any CRM or any software in the mid of the year, because you risk a lot of other aspects, is like training of people, creating a lot of confusion.
Right.
You might look at a beginning of the year launch, which allows people to absorb and then kind of get used to it. But the first and foremost thing is data. Second is have a system thinking approach. Look at the overall system, which all parts of the organization. I think I spoke about the integration is with PMS is possible. The integration with HRMS is possible. The integration with LXP or LMS is possible. The integration with customer verification, background verification, integration with lot of your platforms like a LinkedIn or a website. Why just a website? Any customer who posts or clicks on my latest marketing ad LinkedIn post, that also flows into the CRM, is somebody who has a propensity for my product, right? Someone has liked, so it makes sense to kind of look at that. So look at the entire ecosystem, look at the external internal system, what are the possibilities, and then go ahead and make the change.
Right, right. It's like almost a time. It just flies away. We didn't even realize that it's 1 hour we are discussing this, and this is the never-ending topic. But we have a hard stop here, so I would love to thank Anupam and Sandeep for being here and having this amazing discussion. It was really pleasure to discussing both of you, and definitely our audience must have got like lot of takeaways and the understanding about CRM, and yeah, it was really interesting. So it's really, we are really thankful to have both of you.